Dundee United. Let's head north then for Tannadice to join our commentator Martin Tyler. And alongside him, a man who's back on familiar territory, Richard Gough, formerly, of course, of Dundee United, now captain of Spurs. Despite Jimmy Greaves, let's go up north now and say hello to Martin Tyler.
Thanks very much, Nick, and welcome everybody to Tannadice. It's not the lavish setting usually associated with most European finals. It's something of a corner shop stadium, really, but the vast majority of 22,500 fans, all ticket, decked out in tangerine and black, and they're determined to lift Dundee United over the disappointment of that Scottish Cup final defeat and over the one-goal lead that Gothenburg have from the first leg. Well, Jim McLean has freshened his side with two players who didn't start the game on Saturday. The all-purpose Billy Kirkwood comes into midfield, and Dundee United's need to score tonight means a place for a third striker. It's Kevin Gallagher. He's only 20 years old. He's got real promise, and that's been nursed carefully throughout this long season. So Gallagher links up with 30-goal Ian Ferguson, who was suspended from the first leg. And also with Paul Sturrock, on whom United will lean heavily tonight. His style of attacking defenders with the ball particularly suited to European games. Well, because of that, Gunnar Bengtsson, the Gothenburg coach, has brought in Roland Nielsen to provide some extra midfield protection. That's the only change from the first leg. 5 of these players were UEFA Cup winners 5 years ago. Goalkeeper Bernison, left-back Fredriksson, and the brothers Tord and Tommy Holmgren. And the captain, Glenn Hussein, much admired by Manchester United. Hussein hoping that Alex Ferguson, who's here tonight, will discuss a move after the match. Stefan Pettersson's goal 2 weeks ago, the difference between the two sides at the halfway point of the 1987 UEFA Cup final. The referee, Johan Ignar, is a chemistry teacher from Arad in Romania. He refereed in the Mexican World Cup. And Richard Gough, you know these Dundee United players so well. The simple question to you is, can they do it?
Yes, I think they can, Martin. I was in speaking to the lads on Monday, and although they're very disappointed, obviously, getting beat in the Scottish Cup final on Saturday, I think that makes them doubly determined to get a good result tonight. And I just hope they can go in and get one.
You know the disappointment of losing a final. You went through it at Wembley. Did you recognise the same signs in them on Monday?
Yes, very much so. It was a terrible disappointment for us on Saturday, and seeing them on Monday was exactly the same. But that's why, like I said, I think it's going to make them even more determined now to get a good result tonight. I just hope they can go out and get one.
The one advantage, of course, is you might have to wait a long time for your next final. They've only had to wait 4 days.
That's right. I mean, I'd rather be in their shoes like tonight. Like I think the rest of the Tottenham players would be as well, actually. If you can get a game as quick as 4 days to change things, it would be good, you know.
Well, Ian Ferguson will surely play an important part. A real pickpocket around the opposition's goal. A long, hard season, as we've been saying, full of potential all the way for Dundee United. But it's down now to what happens in their last match, if they're going to finish with a trophy, as reward for their considerable efforts. It's a test of skill, of stamina, and indeed character against, we must say, worthy opponents in Gothenburg. In from Sturrock, and Vernison has come to make a catch really under no pressure. It's been a very pleasant day here on the east coast of Scotland, but the pitch has been heavily watered. They've had the hose pipes on it for 2 full days now to try and slick the surface so that it suits the way Dundee United like to play. Roland Nielsen tucking in around Sturrock, but he couldn't make the header. Tord Holmgren, the elder of the two brothers, came in behind him. John Clark on the ball, partnering David Neri in the centre of the Dundee United defence, in preference to Paul Hegarty as one of the substitutes. Incidentally, Eamon Bannon, another player with vast European experience, is also a substitute, and that's Kirkwood coming through with an impulsive challenge. I'm not sure how much contact he made on Wernersson, but it really typified the type of approach that we're likely to see from Jim McLean's men in the opening phase of the game.
I'm quite surprised at Jim McLean's selection actually tonight. He's left Paul Hegarty and Eamon Bannon as well, two of the most experienced European players. I just hope it works.
And that's a push by Lennart Nielsen on Maurice Malpass. Nielsen in his first season with Gothenburg, a season that's only just begun, of course, in Sweden. They've only played 5 league games, and they go on through the summer. It's not a night to overburden you at home with statistics, but just to tell you that in their UEFA Cup run so far, Dundee United haven't conceded a goal here at Paradise, but that Gothenburg have scored in every one of their away games. And an away goal to add to the one in the Ullevi Stadium 2 weeks ago would make it very, very difficult for Dundee United. So there's got to be some caution in their play as regards keeping things tight at the back. And that looked like a shove on start by Carlson, but he got away with it. And then Hussein steering the clearance forward. David Neri. Ferguson, who operates with great economy, has got a good first touch. And this is Gallagher, who looks really like a waif and stray. He's so slender. But a promising run. Scored that unusual goal here against Barcelona. John Clark is up there, Ferguson too, and it was Tord Holmgren who effected the clearance. Clark. Jim McAnally. 11 is Redford. And here's John Holt. It's a special atmosphere. A tight ground, which might intimidate Gothenburg. Gallagher. That's Kirkwood. And Wernersson performed bravely off his line as Kirkwood came in with foot raised, as it had to be. He was entitled to go for the ball. Corner taken. But this is the worry for Dundee United. The pace of Nielsen on the break. And a direct approach too from him. So, Richard Gough, excitement at both ends.
Yes, very much so. Looks like Dundee United have started out with Paul Sturrock on the left wing and Kevin Gallagher on the right wing. Just obviously maybe to try and stretch Gothenburg a little bit. But like you say, that's the thing they've got to be very careful of. The lad Nielsen up front and Pettersson, they're both very quick and both very good on the counter-attack.
And as we saw there, it was a very brave save by Wernersson from Kirkwood. This is Lennart Nielsen, who's been languishing really in an unfashionable team in Sweden until this season. He's 28, but has already caught the eye of managers in other European countries, as has Hussein, who is effective at set plays, although he couldn't make the header then. So Dundee United, third in the Premier League up here, runners-up in the Scottish Cup. Clark. Met by Carlson. And Pettersson with a neat piece of control. And Thompson wins the race against Nielsen. It's noticeable how Kirkwood has got forward again from midfield to try and link up with the front man. And some typically controlled defending by Maurice Malpas. Holt playing it right back tonight. The two full-backs actually switched from the sides they operated on in the first leg. Larsen. Whatever the weather, Billy Thompson wears the tracksuit bottoms. He prefers that style just simply for comfort. Clark's header on from Malpas. Redford winning it. It's very congested in midfield at the moment. It's quite a British style about the way Gothenburg approach their task. Basically a 4-4-2 formation. Malpas. Gothenburg did reach the semi-final of the Champions Cup last season. You might remember the dramatic penalty shootout when they lost to Barcelona. So they've got a lot of pedigree, and Anderson and Lennart Nielsen was about to pull the trigger then, until Clark stepped in. Here's Gallagher. Easily picked off by Larsen in front of Ian Ferguson. Kirkwood let it run. It was a bright idea. The link-up not quite coming off with Ferguson. Malpas. Roland Nielsen for Gothenburg. Support close at hand from Tord Holmgren. And Nielsen shoots again. Twice he's had a sight of Billy Thompson's goal, and twice he's let fly. Asking a lot of Gallagher. A crossfield pass from Sturrock. And it's picked up in midfield by Roland Nielsen. And Clark fell heavily then, and he's still trying to get his breath back. Well, he's a tough character, John Clark, who started as a striker here at Tannadice. Redford, who's done particularly well in this European campaign. But Richard Gough, the opening 10 minutes really reflecting the position that Dundee United find themselves in, knowing that they daren't concede a second goal.
That's right, it's going to be very difficult. I think they should just really take their time the first maybe 10, maybe 20 minutes, just to let the game develop a pattern. At the moment, it hasn't really developed any kind of pattern at all. I think they've got to try and get the ball down to Gallagher and Sturrock as quick as possible.
Pettersson. Stefan Pettersson, who works in a bank as well as playing football in Gothenburg. All the Gothenburg players in the starting lineup are technically part-timers, but they do their work until about 3:30 in the afternoon and train every day, so don't expect them to yield when it comes to stamina. They're fit and strong and resilient. They have a magnificent record in this competition. 24 matches now unbeaten. And Roland Nielsen a whisker away from putting Mika Andersson in. It's a much better surface here in Tannadice than we saw in Gothenburg for the first leg, which was frankly a disgrace at the Ullevi Stadium. The rutted top actually played a part in the goal that separates the teams at the moment, when Pettersson's header bounced over Billy Thompson. McInally in a little too much of a hurry. Jim McInally signed a long-term contract last night. He's only 23, and although the details haven't been announced, it's said to keep him here until into his 30s. So Jim McLean has done it again. But Dundee United have conceded a corner. Tommy Holmgren has come across to take it. And that's Pettersson, and Thompson saved with his feet. Carlson, the right back, who'd come forward at the set piece, and then Fredriksson, the other full-back, letting fly. But Thompson had to kick away from Stefan Pettersson then, after the ball hadn't really been properly cleared as the header came in towards the near post. Richard Goff.
They've got a lot of big men in this side, Martin, so I think they're going to be very dangerous at set pieces, and actually that was a very good save there by Billy Thompson.
And those same big players are now back defending. Man for man, Dundee United, the smaller side, but maybe the more manoeuvrable and mobile, and McInally whips a low shot in with not really enough steam to trouble Venison. He was able to use his feet to get along the line and field it easily. On from Redford. A goal would clearly change the atmosphere here so much if Dundee United could get back on level terms. You sense a little bit of anxiety in the crowd as well. It's Neri shaping to take the free kick. Gallagher making a little jog across the face of the box. He's checked back now. And there wasn't really enough angle on it. Well, Jim McLean sits in a little cubicle behind the goal to the right, and he talks to the dugout through a telephone where they act on the manager's instructions. But last Saturday at Hampden Park it didn't work. The walkie-talkie broke down and Dundee United took off the wrong player. So it's not infallible, the method. Ferguson was late on Carlson in his enthusiasm to try and reach the ball. The referee allowing play to go on and showing Carlson scant sympathy. It was Pettersson's shot. Well, both strikers for Gothenburg have had two meaningful shots at Billy Thompson's goal. And we've been playing some 16 minutes. Still no score here in the second leg, with Gothenburg having the one-goal advantage. Larson bundling into Ferguson. The linesman indicated that it should be a free kick, and the referee followed suit against Peter Larson. So Clark has made his way forward again. Redford is there. Kirkwood making a run towards the near post. And it's a little nervy from Dundee United at the moment. And if you've just sat down and put on the television, that's the news so far from Tannadice. Hussein coming in, and Thompson opted to stay on his line. Glenn Hussein is very keen to come and play in England. He was telling me that the person he'd most like to meet in the whole world is John Cleese, so I guess he's suited to the British sense of humour. Hussein went in quite low. In fact, the referee didn't penalise Ian Ferguson. Clark. The players here really with the gauntlet thrown down to them by this situation. There are those north of the border that know the club well, that say that Dundee United really are a nearly club. They don't quite do it right to the very last. Well, they can prove the doubters wrong here. Clark. And Thompson started to come, thought better of it. Malpass put it behind. So Kirkwood guarding that area by the near post. Tommy Holmgren again with the corner. He was met by Neri. And did Hussein use a hand? He did. It was a fairly concerted appeal. He's played outside Sweden once before in Holland with PSV Eindhoven. It really wasn't a success for him, largely because I don't think they quite appreciated his particular defensive talents. He was used in midfield and from time to time as a striker. Very much a defender. Roland Nilsson. Pettersson covering a lot of ground again. And it's Anderson breaking from midfield. The more unified football so far is coming from Gothenburg. But it's early days yet. And here's Sturrock for Dundee United. Redford peeling away into the middle, and Sturrock's problem in the end was not with the defenders, but with his balance. Richard, he's been a wonderful servant here, Paul Sturrock.
Yes, that's right, Martin. He's normally played up right up the middle, but tonight, well, actually this season quite a lot, McLean's had him on the left wing.
He's played his better football really away from the hustle and bustle of the Scottish Premier League, which is a game why Dundee United are looking so much to Paul Sturrock tonight. Redford. Clark with Holt giving him a way out. And now he needs help, and it really wasn't there. McAnally finding himself forward. It deflected off Larson, who really ate up the ground then with a change of pace to prevent the corner. Jim McAnally, whose wife is a hairdresser, and he tells me he's her only customer at the moment. Changes virtually every time you see him, the different style.
Gothenburg's team, Martin, they seem very strong right down the middle. The two centre-backs are both very good players, as the two centre-forwards as well. And the Holmgren brothers in the middle of the park, both good players as well.
So far, Dundee United finding it difficult to find the crack to bring about an equaliser, and they're stretched again by the pace of Lennart Nielsen. And Gothenburg have an away goal. It really has been on the cards over the last 10 minutes. And that's what it means to those who've travelled here from Sweden. The sheer speed of Lennart Nielsen took him away, and then inside Clark, and he beat Billy Thompson by the near post. I'm not sure whether the goalkeeper will be too happy with the area in which he was passed.
That's what we're all afraid of, Martin. Gothenburg on the breakaway. The lad Nielsen is very quick, and he got a one-on-one with John Clark just outside the box. It's just what Dundee United didn't need.
Well, the bald facts are now, with Gothenburg having a 2-0 aggregate lead, provided for them by Lennart Nielsen, is that Dundee United must score 3 times. The goal coming after 23 minutes. Dundee United badly needing to strike back here. Toward Holmgren. Thompson sending it long. Sturrock. It's really a situation now. Dundee United have to throw caution to the wind. Kirkwood, Ferguson, Redford. They're appealing for handball mostly from the crowd. The players concentrating on the game which is still going on. And that was too awkward for Redford to control. Pettersson and Lennart Nielsen again the threat. Thompson having to act as the sweeper. And that was a fairly unceremonious challenge by Redford on Stefan Pettersson. Carlson with the free kick. Thompson, who's performed well in dealing with cross balls this season, does it again there. Hussein's header. Well, dangerous play given against David Neri, but it looked a marginal decision. So Gothenburg have kept up this remarkable run of getting an away goal every time they've travelled. And the first goal that Dundee United have conceded at home in Europe this season might just be one too many. Gallagher. Larson came across, and there was no room for Kevin Gallagher to play, even had he been able to keep the ball in. Anderson. And Pettersson stretching David Neri and taking it from him. Roland Nielsen. Malpass in the way. Here's Hussein. And you feel here that Gothenburg believe that they can settle any lingering doubts. Tommy Holmgren. Got it back from Anderson. Gallagher couldn't get it very far. Play on, says the referee. Fredriksson was stopping, appealing for handball. When Gothenburg won the UEFA Cup in 1982, they similarly, 1987, won the home leg 1-0 against Hamburg and went to West Germany and won 3-0 in the second leg. They might have their sights on that. There was really only Sturrock in the Gothenburg penalty area for United. One or two looks across to the linesman as the ball bounced on through to Lennart Nilsson. Hussein. It really needs some strong leadership out there for Dundee United at the moment. The players must feel that their season really is slipping away from them. Malpass, the injured player. Caught by Mika Andersson. So it's Redford to take the free kick. Aim for John Clark. Gallagher. And when they wanted the ball to run for them, Dundee United were unfortunate. But Holt showing good ambition. Met though by Larsson in the middle. Retrieved here by Redford. McInally. Redford was caught by Lennart Nilsson. Dundee United did retain possession for a moment until Gallagher lost out. McInally. Richard, who would you look to now out there as the strong characters in the tangerine shirts to try and raise the tempo now in this difficult situation?
I think the likes Ian Redford and Jim McInally have got to try and get forward a lot more now from the middle of the park, because with playing too wide up, they're not getting any penetration through the middle. Another thing is that Jim McLean might bring Paul Hegarty on and put him at centre back and put John Clark up front the longer it goes on like this.
Clark for the moment, receiving the ball from the goalkeeper. John Holt, it might be his last match in a tangerine shirt. He has an offer to go as player coach to Forfar Athletic, an offer that comes with a job outside football as well. So it's a big decision that he has to make in the next couple of days. We just passed the half-hour mark, and the scoreline makes unhappy reading. Lennart Nilsson has provided one goal already, and several other moments of great danger around the Dundee United goal. Holt. Hussein heading away from the immediate danger area, but it was a poor clearance from Larsson. Straight to McInally rather. And then Kirkwood misjudging the jump. Pettersson.
when you think of how well Dundee United played against Barcelona and against Mönchengladbach, I think it's a measure of what a good side Gothenburg are. But they showed very little sign of yielding to any pressure put on here by home advantage. Here's Malpass trying to change that. Sturrock. 5 players waiting for the cross. Ferguson is one. Oh! When it needed to be just under, it was just over. A glancing header from Ian Ferguson, who's such a stealthy striker. He got in front of his marker then and did very well to get it that close. Neri's header. I would think Jim McLean's been wearing out his telephone link to the bench, but for the moment, the problem for the Dundee United manager is the sun down the ground in his eyes. A goal before half-time could still change the picture here. One thing is for sure, though, now we cannot have extra time.
They definitely need to try and get Paul Sturrock more on the ball than he is at the moment. Because that's the only... If he can get on the ball and get crosses in, that's going to be Dundee United's main source of danger, I think.
Gothenburg have the double cover applied to Sturrock with Roland Nilsson and Mats Ulla Karlsson, the right back. And Sturrock would appreciate the ball played into his feet as it was then by Redford, rather than have to tussle for it in the air. Holt. Well, the free kick is given against John Holt for going in again with a foot raised, which is something that seems to be close to the heart of the Romanian referee. A law about dangerous play. He's a former First Division player in Romania for the club UT Arad. Pedersen. Thompson had to go down again, although he must have been pretty sure in his own mind that it was passing wide. Stefan Pedersen is certainly amongst those Gothenburg players who are being coveted by scouts from other countries. And Archie Knox, the assistant to Alex Ferguson at Manchester United, told me before the game that Hussein wasn't the only player they were watching here. Redford. Ian Redford came here from Rangers, as did Ian Ferguson. Been part of Jim McLean's skill, really, in making the most of players who've been rather misfits with other clubs and bringing on his own young players like Maurice Malpass, who got the ball back to Billy Thompson then. Tord Holmgren. Pettersson. Lennart Nielsen was lurking again. McInally had to hoof it away. It could well be that tonight that Dundee United's best would not be good enough. I think the disappointing thing, Richard Gough, is that we haven't quite seen their best yet.
No, definitely not, Martin. The two lads up front for Gothenburg, Nielsen and Pettersson, both causing a lot of problems at the moment. And they actually play a very much a British-style game. They get the ball forward very quickly. Just like they did there, and they've won another corner now.
And you can do that if you've got forwards of pace and of penetration. Eight minutes remaining before half-time. Tommy Holmgren again with the corner. Hussein climbed beautifully. Carlson. So two defenders then combining to catch Dundee United out once again. Hussein winning the first header, Carlson the second one. Redford really didn't appreciate that from Clark. Gallagher. That was well played, and it's still Kevin Gallagher. And Hussein using his head effectively at the other end this time. But the raw talent of Gallagher then, not inhibited by the situation in which his team is in. And that was a much more promising moment. Everyone had dropped back for Gothenburg on that occasion. Misjudged by Anderson. Collected by Sturrock beyond Ferguson. McInally providing the width. And Dundee United flooding into the middle. Sturrock. But they didn't go to the right areas, really. Or the area that Sturrock was looking for when he guided the ball on. Sturrock. Toward Holmgren, just beating Redford. And the ever-present worry that Lennart Nielsen might catch them again. But here's Neri. And it's offside, I think, against Sturrock. The linesman way across on the far side. But really, in the first half, the midfield quartet for Gothenburg have stopped Dundee United playing their way through midfield. And the back four are well suited to deal with the long ball, aimed at the more diminutive strikers like Ferguson and Sturrock. In simple terms, Gothenburg have the upper hand. Hussein. Swedish players seem to be blessed with such even temperaments that there was no real sensing at the team hotel this week that there was a big match in the offing. And they have coped with this occasion admirably. Toward Holmgren. David Neri was Dundee United's first ever Scottish international. There's been a few since then, one of them sitting up here alongside me, of course, Richard Goff. Tommy Holmgren. And Gallagher beating Fredriksson. But there was no way forward for McAnally, and the crowd don't appreciate the back pass. Three minutes to go before half-time. Tommy Holmgren. Fredriksson, they've worked that move so often in Europe. Two battle-hardened campaigners. And Lennart Nielsen given licence again. Pedersen. And Malpass looked across as if to say, how did that happen? And he was entitled to ask the question, because there was far too much respect showed to Lennart Nielsen then by a quartet of Dundee United defenders, and exposed was Maurice Malpass as the cross came in. Well, said the referee, Redford wanted handball against Anderson. Anderson again. It's a useful run from Roland Nielsen. Strong tackle, first of all, by Neri, and then from Anderson. Richard, there's a bit of a perplexed look about your former teammates at the moment.
That's right, they're not doing too well at the moment. Only consolation is they're going down the famous Tannadice slope in the second half, and hopefully that can maybe change things for them. I think the manager's definitely going to change things at half-time. I don't really know what he's going to do, but I think he'll most probably bring Hegarty on, and I would imagine he'll put John Clark up front, maybe Eamon Bannon as well.
I know he was very concerned about how tired Eamon Bannon has been looking in recent games, but surely Jim McLean can ask him for another 45 minutes. Gothenburg just haven't allowed Dundee United to settle in possession really anywhere in the field. Clark not really sure. You could sense that straight away, and he was lucky that the ball skimmed away from Roland Nielsen. Redford, a little bit of room here for John Holt, but the pass didn't help him. Gallagher did well coming back. And here's McAnally. But that midfield line again doing its job for Gothenburg. It was Tommy Holmgren with the tackle that time. McAnally, Hussein, again aware of where his teammates are when he's doing the defending. Using the inside as well as the outside of the head, and it's gone virtually according to plan for Gothenburg in the first 45 minutes. They came here, they said, expecting to keep their run going of away goals, and they got it midway through the half from Lennart Nielsen.
I think this is the best I've actually seen from an away team at Tannadice. Got to give all credit to Gothenburg. They played very well. The two lads at the back and the two players up front caused a lot of problems for us. But hopefully we can change things in the second half.
Well, this was the moment when Sturrock had overrun the ball. He appealed for a foul there, but I don't think really with any great justification. Lennart Nielsen sensing the space, and John Clark in the one-on-one situation couldn't stop him. Billy Thompson beaten at the near post, very close to the post. As an optical illusion, it looked for a moment as though it had actually gone through the outside of the netting. Maybe after the break we'll have another look at that. But at half-time here at Tannadice, it's Dundee United 0, Gothenburg 1 on the night, 2-0 to Gothenburg on aggregate.
Varandra att det här ska kunna gå ändå, men det ser ju svårt ut. 3 mål måste alltså Dundee United nu göra i den andra halvleken för att ta UEFA Cup-pokalen ifrån IFK Göteborg. Och Göteborg får ju samtidigt då inte göra något mål. Det var ju Malmö FF under Bob Houghton's ledning som visade vägen för svenska klubblag i slutet på 70-talet när laget tog sig till Europacupfinal mot Nottingham Forest och förlorade. Sedan dess har svensk klubbfotboll blivit en storhet att räkna med i Europacupen och framförallt då IFK Göteborg som är ett av 80-talets starkaste, mest framgångsrika lag i Europa överhuvudtaget. Fullt i klass med de stora proffsklubbarna på kontinenten. Idag nämns IFK i samma andetag som man talar om Juventus, Bayern München, Ajax, Liverpool och andra som vi trodde för 10 år sedan ouppnåeliga storheter. Och det här har alltså hänt trots att Blåvitt hela tiden tappat sina stjärnspelare till just de stora proffsklubbarna på kontinenten. Kan vi nämna Glenn Strömberg, Dan Corneliusson, Johnny Ekström som är i Italien, Mats Gren och Robert Prytz som finns i Schweiz och Håkan Sandberg i Grekland. Och just nu är Glenn Hussein, Lennart Nilsson, Peter Larsson, Stefan Pettersson högvilt för talangjägarna ute i Europa. Som jag sa i slutet av den första halvleken, det här har fått till följd att IFK fått massor av pengar som de sedan betalat ut för att köpa de intressantaste spelarna i Sverige. Det har blivit någon sorts kretsgång där. Färdiga storspelare har köpts in. Det började en gång i tiden till och med i division 2 när man köpte Ove Kindvall och Björn Nordqvist och kompletterade med en kille från Jonsered som heter Torbjörn Nilsson. Sedan har det gått spikrakt uppåt och man har köpt Thomas Wernersson från Åtvidaberg, Peter Larsson från Halmstad BK, Mikael Andersson från Hammarby, Stefan Pettersson från IFK Norrköping och nu senast Lasse Zetterlund, AIK, Lennart Nilsson, Elfsborg. Vad som är intressant är att egentligen alla dessa värvningar slagit så väl ut. Spelarna har nästan utan undantag utvecklats och tagit steget upp till internationell klass och landslagsklass när de har kommit till IFK Göteborg. Dundee United har planen i besittning och IFK Göteborgs spelare kommer strax efter. Vinner IFK Göteborg eller spelar oavgjort i den här matchen så får Sverige ett femte lag med.
Just 45 minutes in which to score 3 goals and win the UEFA Cup. So it's a tall order as we rejoin our commentator, Martin Tyler.
It is a tall order, Nick, but as Richard Gough was saying just before half-time, Dundee United are playing with the benefit of the Tannadice slope. They've also brought on one of their veteran campaigners. It's Paul Hegarty, who's replaced John Holt at half-time. And our message to Dennis Law back in the studio is that it was a spot of wishful thinking up here.
Looks like they're going to put McAnally at right back, Martin, and put John Clark right up the front.
Well, 45 minutes left of Dundee United's season, and whatever happens, they will want to go out with more of a flourish than they've given us so far. Been some wonderful European nights here in the past in which Richard Gough has played his part. When Dundee United have got floods of goals playing this way. So it's the old firm of Hegarty and Neri at the back. But with one substitute already on, a problem for Kevin Gallagher. Holding the left knee. The message from Gunnar Bengtsson to his team, I'm sure would have been along the lines of more of the same, please. They have plans out at the St Andrews Golf Club where they're staying for a celebration banquet, and it could be a real celebration now. And Anderson, faced by Billy Thompson, really couldn't believe, I think, that he was allowed to go on. And that was an escape for Dundee United. Micah Anderson with 3 goals in this European run already, and it should have been 4.
Thompson actually got a hand to that there, Martin. Put it down to a good save.
Neri. Here's Sturrock, and here comes the Tannadice roar, and this is what Sturrock is good at. Particularly on that side of the field, and come on is the cry to his teammates and indeed to the crowd. They've been caught up a little bit in the depression so far that surrounded Dundee United. It's a goal kick. Hegarty, then McInally. Push by Neri on Pettersson. Well, the stars so far tonight have been those in stripes. Larson curling it forward. This is Roland Nielsen. It's blocked by Clark. Well for Sturrock. Redford trying to take it on the burst. Ferguson, that's well played. And he takes on toward Holmgren to Sturrock to earn the free kick. In a position from which Dundee United might well capitalise.
They should be a wee bit more dangerous now with Paul Hegarty up.
Hegarty trying to make his presence felt. The decision is a corner. And there's a change in the atmosphere in the ground. Gallagher to take it. Kirkwood trying to help it on. McInally, that was a sensible header. Gallagher had got back to get onside. John Clark coming in. And Wernerson did well through the pack. Retrieved by Neri. Wernerson just flexing a shoulder muscle. Gallagher. Dispossessed cleanly by Tommy Holmgren, and then Gallagher tripping Anderson. Malpass. And Sturrock already getting more of the ball. And he turns Roland Nielsen, but can't deliver the cross. For Richard Goff, there's a bit of promise out there on the far side with Paul Sturrock now.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, McLean's obviously told him to get Sturrock on the ball as much as possible. Like you say, going down the slope as well, it's definitely going to make the difference. Dundee United definitely got to start taking chances now, and we'll see what happens.
It was a good touch on from Nielsen to Pettersson. The two front men combining well again for Gothenburg. It needed some sharp covering from McInally. Kirkwood. And Clark has stayed forward to play now up alongside Ferguson. It was in that position that he joined the club as a youngster. He's a real powerhouse, John Clark, too, and might not one or two defenders around. But they'll be looking to pull the crosses back away from Wernersen. Having got now more regularly into wider positions, the next step is to deliver better crosses. All very straightforward in theory, not so easy out there. But maybe little by little, Dundee United clawing their way back up the slope. Hegarty. Here's Redford. Malpass is taking too long to control the ball, and Gothenburg haven't allowed that luxury. Well, and Nilsson took it from him and then was fouled, and Pettersson trying to worm away through the centre again. Redford. Back from Hussein. And so many of these Gothenburg players have been through this situation in the past. They were very much the underdogs in 1982 when they really, over the two games, were much stronger in the final against Hamburg. But here's Neri with a free kick for United. Clark touched it on. Hussein jumped with an arm raised, and it was spotted by the referee. The whistle had gone before Ferguson shot. So this is an interesting situation. There are one or two options available to Jim McLean's men here to test out Wernersen and his wall of defenders.
John Clark strikes a very good ball. I would imagine here he'll just probably take this.
Clark, indeed, has a kick like a mule. Massively strong legs, and it goes with the right foot and buries itself, the ball, in the stomach of Wernersen. Nothing wrong with the power, just the placement. The linesman's flagging it's out of play. Ten minutes gone. Gothenburg, 1 goal to the good here, 2 goals to the good on aggregate. And just to remind you, that means that whatever happens, we can't have extra time. If Dundee United scored twice, Gothenburg would still be ahead on the away goal rule. Pettersson and Lennart Nilsson quite entitled to try his luck from any range. He's already scored 4 goals in his 5 league games so far this season. McInally. Well, Gallagher is such a lightweight that any reasonable challenge is slightly misdirected, flicks him up into the air as it did then. The ball followed suit from the boot of Larsson. Sturrock turned beautifully, but Hussein in the right place again. And then a mistake by Tommy Holmgren, but Gallagher can't get the cross in. For the moment, Gothenburg pen back at the bottom end of Tannadice. Saying, crowd yelling because they thought it was a push by the Gothenburg captain, McInally. Ferguson coming in, but easily Bernisson's ball. Hegarty. Malpass, who's got the skill on the ball to make an impression if he moves into midfield. There's more determination that carried him on then. And Clark too, the powerhouse, and they were hanging on to the sides of John Clark then with Gothenburg. But it's a change in the mix that the supporters will appreciate. It's not subtle, but in the first half, when they were looking for subtlety, Dundee United couldn't provide it. Redford. Clark again. Gallagher holding out wide on this near side, and Sturrock still on the far side. And offside is Nielsen. Sturrock. Help from Malpass. McInally's got into a good position behind the defenders, but the cross was too slow coming in for him, really. He was trapped offside. But he's had a splendid season personally, Jim McNally. Brought him his first Scotland cap last month. At the far end, Gunder Bengtsson just sitting back, out of picture now, and now leaning forward with the pencil, making notes as it goes along. There's a moment of anxiety for him because Peter Larsson is limping. Gothenburg have looked relatively composed in their defending, and Hussein and Larsson must take great credit for that, the two centre-backs. Tommy Holmgren. Ferguson. And now Clark. That's a good turn for John Clark. And it's a tremendous goal. So the change in tactic has shifted the balance of power, not away from Gothenburg, but it's breathed hope now into the players and the 20,000 fans who've been so disappointed with what they've seen up to now. But big John Clark with some sleight of foot there, and in off that post. It's 1-1 here, 2-1 to Gothenburg overall.
That was a great goal there, Martin. Now we've definitely got a game on our hands now.
Half an hour left.
A half an hour ago should be really good.
So Dundee United really have reverted to raw British values here in a strong physical striker pushed up by Jim McLean. So Clark, for the moment, has to concentrate on defending at this Gothenburg free kick. Clark, who all the way along the line in Europe this season has chipped in at vital times, particularly in Barcelona. And here's Ferguson. Gallagher. And Gothenburg had to press the panic button then, and that's really the first time we've seen that. Time is against Dundee United, but they've come alive. McInally. Gallagher. Well, what a difference a goal does make. As Jimmy Greaves and Dennis Law were saying at half-time, had Kirkwood got the ball in the net when Venison saved so well early in the match, the whole scenario would have been different. But now, really, we'll see how good the teams are. Are Gothenburg strong enough to withstand that blow? Can Dundee United find, right at the last in their season, the form that's been elusive in two major finals up till now? Larson across clumsily.
United definitely got their tails out now, Martin.
It's McAnally to take the free kick. Benison's lost it, Hegarty! Luck favouring Gothenburg then. And McAnally with a moment's lapse in concentration. But the head will be buzzing now for players out there. They suddenly sense they might have an opportunity when all look lost. Remember, they still have to score twice, and that's only providing Gothenburg don't add to their goals so far. Hegarty trying to make sure with the header that possession was retained. McAnally doing the same, taking a chance across the back line. And it worked on both counts. Neri. Clark wanted to turn at every opportunity. Redford got some reward for battling there. Sturrock, Paul waiting for the cross, and it came behind all of them. And Sturrock, out of your picture, shakes his head in disappointment. Hegarty. Well, Pettersson was onside, but the ball was overhit.
Sturrock's actually got into some very good positions, and his crossings are only very good, but tonight he struggled on them a wee bit, actually. It's a pity.
Well, Hussein was complaining that Gallagher followed in, and that conversation, I can tell you, will be conducted in English, or shall we say Scottish on one side, English as far as Hussein is concerned. He speaks it very well. But Dundee United are revived. And Sturrock trying to throw the dummy to Carlson. It didn't come off.
One thing they have got to do, Martin, is definitely try and keep the pace of the game up, just like they have been doing since the start of the second half.
Gallagher. Here's Redford. Ferguson trying to meet the cross. It'll drop for Jim McAnally. But a corner conceded, and that wasn't the controlled defending of Gothenburg that we saw in the first half. Roland Nilsson knocking it behind. The flags have been unfurled. Sturrock takes the corner. Clark is there. Hegarty is there. And Vernison is there for Gothenburg, and he's flattened by Clark. It'll be a free kick. And Gothenburg, really to a man, showing their anger. It was pressure in numbers there, and indeed Neri and Hegarty rather getting in each other's way. And then Vernison had made the save, and Clark caught him when he was off the ground.
Actually, a bad foul by John Clark, because the goalkeeper was pushing over the bar anyway.
Bad in the terms of unnecessary, Richard. but he's been responsible for the change of mood. Pettersson. McInally snapping in. And all the while at the back, Hegarty and Neri will have to lean heavily on their know-how to make sure that Gothenburg don't strike again. Forward they go, ahead of Billy Thompson's massive clearance. Hussein back-pedalling, judged it beautifully, but not the same to Tommy Holmgren. Thompson can kick it again. Hegarty doesn't want it from the goalkeeper. Sturrock. Ferguson, it's aimed for Clark. It's not an easy one for him. Well, you can't really expect all that strength, and deft touch as well. I think they call him Hoss, don't they, Richard, from the old Bonanza Cowboy series?
That's right, that's right.
Anderson. Neri reading the direction of the pass, making sure that Lennart Nielsen was in his sights as well. Well, the ball back, in fact, is, well, it's a contradiction in terms, the ball forward, because Thompson's lengthy clearances aren't making it at all easy for Gothenburg to defend. Toward Holmgren. This is Pettersson. And now Lennart Nielsen. And by keeping the ball, Gothenburg can take some of the steam out of Dundee United.
Gothenburg definitely a very brave side. They're still keeping 2 men up the park at all occasions, and people still breaking from midfield as well. Give them their due, they're very brave indeed.
And they do seem to be able to discover a conveyor belt of brainy, speedy forwards. You think of Johnny Ekström, who's gone to Italy now. And Dan Corneliusson, another Swede who's playing in Italy. And the great Torbjörn Nilsson, who's just retired, who scored so many European goals for them. Roland Nilsson. Anderson. And Tommy Holmgren was really caught in 2 minds as to whether to head for goal or just ease it back to where Pettersson was waiting to pounce. He accomplished neither. And Hegarty was being turned by Lennart Nielsen. The referee absolutely right. Johan Ignat. Clark. Gallagher! It looked as though a touch might be enough because Gallagher was going to get there before Wernersson. But in mid-air, they're awfully difficult to keep down. But they moved away from John Clark there as though nobody wanted to jump with him. And Gothenburg nearly paid the price. And on for Gothenburg is Magnus Johansson for Tommy Holmgren. He started the first leg in Gothenburg. Free forward for Dundee United. And Fredriksson, it's no sort of clearance at all. Hussein at least getting it behind for the corner. Just for a couple of minutes, they've gone off the boil, Dundee United. But they're pressing again here. That's Hegarty. with a dozen European goals to his name over the years. And coming in then, it did look, as the ball was in mid-air towards him, that it would be a free header for him, but defenders are very clever at blocking off those type of movements, as Richard Goff would know.
Yes, John Clark's made a tremendous difference up front, actually. And Dundee United, the best thing they can do now is keep Billy Thompson kicking it along, just like this, because they're definitely getting a lot of success through that tactic. I just wonder if Jim McLean's not thinking now if he should have maybe put John Clark up there from the start.
Well, he had to make the decision before the game, and he sent the message down to take off Ian Redford, who's not been as effective in this game as he has been in other European ties. So Eamon Bannon with just under 20 minutes left.
He's actually got Bannon and Hegarty on there. Like I said, there's probably, maybe they should have been on from the start, but well, we'll see how it goes now. There's John Clark, gets another good cut.
Well, clearly you're not just a good player, Richard, you'll be a very good manager as well when the time comes. But Paul Sturrock, I think, will reflect that he might have got the ball across better in those wide positions. Bannon. Sturrock's done well this time, but Clark was hovering on the edge of the area rather than going in to challenge Ferguson, obviously hoping that the ball would be pulled back a little bit more. McInally's so anxious to get the game restarted. Johansson, who's just slotted into Holmgren's role on the left-hand side, but here's Malpass, played it without looking.
Gothenburg, I think, Martin, they managed to take the sting out of the game a wee bit now, and it's, we need Dundee United to lift it just a wee bit more now.
This their 66th major competitive game this season. And Ferguson, despairing lunge, knowing that the ball really couldn't be his. And those half chances, like the one that came to Gallagher and to Hegarty, if just one of those had gone in. 15 minutes left. And the sands of time haven't run out for Jim McLean's men yet. But Lennart Nielsen, the recipient of the referee's decision. Solid header above Pettersson. Bannon's gone on beyond Sturrock. They're a tried and tested combination, these two. And Bannon did well to retrieve it, and it's produced a throw. Sturrock. Bannon is onside. Solid header away by Larsson. And Pettersson able to buy his side some time, but Nielsen is offside. There's a case here of just getting the ball placed, with Dundee United still needing 2 more goals on the aggregate scoreline, which is 2-1 to Gothenburg. Clark. Really, everything's got to be hit towards him. trying to read that. Nielsen did well to hold it, but couldn't keep Dundee United at bay. And Malpass, forced by Pettersson's skill to commit the foul. Richard, those two areas of strength that you spoke about earlier are still holding up well, aren't they? Hussein and Larson at the back, and the two front men.
Yes, they had a dodgy spell, actually, the two centre-backs there, but now they've come through it quite well, and they look quite comfortable now. The two centre-forwards are still, they make things very difficult for the United defenders by backing in very well.
Well, Ferguson with a real hit and hope then, as Gothenburg want to make their second substitution. That's Lars Zetterlund. And it's Roland Nielsen who is replaced. Zetterlund will play out the last 12 minutes. Hegarty is forward, and that skimmed off Hussein. The referee's pointed for the corner. And hope springs eternal for Dundee United again. Sturrock takes it. Neri, now! He must have been pushed, surely. David Neri was going to meet the corner and was favourite to get there and ended up on the ground. Might have been difficult for the referee to see it in a very congested area around the penalty spot. McInally with the free kick. Clark launching himself. And Pettersson getting the better of Kirkwood. And this is Johansson, with the other substitute Zetterlund up with him. Tord Holmgren, the anchor man in midfield. Anderson. But it's Nielsen who loses it. Given away by Ferguson. The second half here, certainly worthy of a major European final. But Dundee United now needing some moments of real inspiration. Anderson, and it's controlled football from Gothenburg again. Kirkwood's urgency to try and reclaim the ball, leading to another Gothenburg free kick. Yes, there was a push on Hegarty. The crowd were urging Thompson to kick it long, but he chose instead to use Malpass. Neri. Carlson. length of the match hasn't slowed Lennart Nielsen, although there was an infringement then. It's amazing that at 28, he's only really just been discovered in Swedish football. Sturrock. It was a rush of blood, and in a situation that Dundee United find themselves, it's really understandable. But we can look back now at Neri, who went down then with Pettersson jumping with him, but it was not quite as strong contact as it first looked. Ferguson, who's drifted along the whole width of the front line to try and get involved in the proceedings. He's really had very few sights of the Gothenburg goal, just that header in the first half that was an inch or two over the top. Sturrock. This is Johansson. Gallagher. There are 3 in tangerine shirts to his left, and Bannon trying to make a 4th. But Tord Holmgren knew too much for the 20-year-old. There are 7 minutes left. And here's Zetterlund. Pettersson, and Nielsen is the way forward again. Well, they're not home and dry yet, Richard, but I think Gothenburg have shown the class of a team capable of winning the UEFA Cup and the way that they've withstood what Dundee United have thrown at them in the second half.
They've shown their quality in the second half. I mean, they went through a dodgy spell, but now they've definitely taken the sting out of the game, and you've got to give them all credit for that. They're a very good side.
There are 6 minutes left, and Gothenburg quite happy for any number of seconds to be spent with the ball around Billy Thompson's goal. Came off the back of Clark's head as he jumped with Hussein. And Ferguson clearly felt he was nudged. Nielsen is offside. But again, Dundee United protests fall on deaf ears. It's 1-1 here, if you've just switched on, which is 2-1 to Gothenburg on aggregate. Clark got a bang in the face. Sturrock. Now would be the time to make a telling contribution. On from Hegarty. Hegarty was obstructed, and Johansson kicked the ball away, and the referee patted his watch to indicate that he was aware of any potential time wasting. What a finish we would have if Dundee United could score from this free kick. It's to be taken by Jim McAnally. All the outfield players, bar Malpass, are up for it. And that's Clark again. Johansson. They can keep the ball here, can Gothenburg. Fredriksson. Nielsen. And it was a weary effort by Kirkwood, but a brave one. And the second time, Nielsen has got them all twisting and turning, and it was a cushioned header by Malpass that took the steam out of the situation. And the supporters urging tired legs forward once more. If it's any consolation for Dundee United, they at last, after that dreadful show really at Hampden, they put on something of a display in the second half, but only really when the game was beyond them. Neri. Here's Gallagher. Bannon. Ferguson had jumped for it and was the player who might have been pushed, and that's Malpass trying to get some loop into the volley. But the supporters really like Dundee United now with these penalty appeals, are really clutching at straws. Sturrock. And Gallagher couldn't deal with it. Thompson in a race with Nielsen, and Billy Thompson's got to go again, and he's approaching the halfway line and solved his problems acrobatically. Kirkwood prodding it on for Ferguson. And I suppose in a way that sums up how the season has ended for Dundee United. Billy Thompson is the only player who's played in every one of the European games. And 2 goals that Gothenburg have put past him. Maybe on other days he might have expected to save. The one in Gothenburg where he felt he should have come for the cross. Under Bengtsson, the Gothenburg coach, on his feet. And tonight Thompson beaten by his near post. That's the way it is for goalkeepers. Billy Thompson, it must be said, has had a superb season. But it's been one bridge too far in this competition for Dundee United. They've more than met their match in a Swedish side that have matched Dundee United really in every department. Hussein. And here's Johansson trying to end it for Gothenburg in style. We're into stoppage time. Gothenburg lead by 2-1 on aggregate. And they're poised for their celebrations. And there they are. Gothenburg have won the 1987 UEFA Cup. Dundee United left empty-handed at the end of a tremendous season. Lennart Nielsen's goal, so important midway through the first half. And for all the hustle and bustle of Dundee United in the second half when John Clark did pull a goal back. Really, the team with the greater quality is the team which will collect the cup. Two finals lost in 4 days for Jim McLean's men. But delight for those who've made the journey from Sweden. Richard Gough, all credit to Gothenburg.
Yes, very much so, Martin. They played very well. They played very well in the first half, and they took the game to Dundee United. I think, and over the tie, they deserved the draw. I just feel very sorry for Dundee United. 2 finals, getting beaten, both of them, must be terribly disappointing.
But Gothenburg are a club which, on and off the field, a credit to the concept of European club competition. We can get a reaction now from Dundee United, from John Clark, who's talking to Ian Archer.
John Clark, that must have been a terrible disappointment to you.
Yeah, very disappointed tonight. After we lost the first goal so early, I don't think there was any way back for us. We tried very hard the second half, but left ourselves an impossible task, I think.
There seemed to be a lack of concentration over the first goal.
Yeah, well, I think we were expecting a free kick. We did get a free kick. We played to Paul Sturrock. We were looking for another free kick. The long ball caught me especially out of the back there.
What did Jim McLean say at half-time in sending you forward?
Well, he was just pushing everything forward, just gambling. Well, we had nothing to gain, sitting resting back on our laurels, so we had to push forward as much as possible.
It looked as if possibly you'd had 1 or 2 games too many this season. You looked a bit tired tonight.
Yeah, a very hard season for us, but nothing to show for it in the end. Very disappointing.
Bad luck, John. Thanks, chocolate.
So the presentation about to take place. A lot of sympathetic applause for the Dundee United players. And the scarves of tangerine and black are being held aloft. No trophies, but great memories for Dundee United this season, particularly in Barcelona and in Mönchengladbach. But that trophy has eluded them. Still no Scottish club has won it. The trophy to be presented by a member of UEFA, Günther Schneider from East Germany. And Glenn Hussein, a player of great individual stature, receives the UEFA Cup. Well done, Gothenburg. 25 UEFA Cup matches now without defeat. Both times they've won the competition. They've avoided any defeats along the way. That is some record. And their achievement is honoured in the proper way on the terraces. Those players will ache with disappointment. And Billy Thompson cannot believe it. They were favourites to beat St Mirren in the Scottish Cup on Saturday. St Mirren, Thompson's old club. Well, Tannadice, homespun it is, but it has hosted this UEFA Cup final second leg in a splendid fashion. And it's allowing, as their own players get their mementos, it's allowing Gothenburg to celebrate properly in front of their own supporters, and they're now off on a lap of honour. As Paul Sturrock reflects on what might have been. Are there tears there? If there are, it's understandable. Jim McLean isn't the type of man to take much credit for finishing second. But they have built a club here on the east coast of Scotland, away from the traditional superpowers in Glasgow. But the power on the night at Tannadice has come from Sweden. As we say again, well done to Gothenburg.
Hello again. So Dundee United have lost their second final in less than a week. Dennis Law, they must be absolutely shattered.
Oh, very. I mean, in a final, when you look at the losing team, you always feel very disappointed for them. But tonight, it looks as though they had too many games under their belt. What was it, their 66th game? They played very tiredly. And it was only a little spell in the second half for about 10 minutes that the sort of fire was there. They got the goal. Then you felt, well, maybe they could get a second. But that only lasted, you know, for about 5 minutes.
I still don't understand it. You say it's their 66th game or whatever, but surely a game like that, a final, of that stature,
Well,
you don't feel tired, do you?
Well, you shouldn't do, should you? It is the final. Of course, the crowd, you know, should give you that bit of a boost as well. But then they lost, not an early goal, as John Clark said, but a goal after 22 minutes. That really sort of knocked us off him. But then you need people inside. You need your captain. You need your other people to say, "Now, listen, it is the end of the season. It is the final. Let's get going. If we're going to get beat, we're not going to let them walk off the park."
At the start of the second half, they seemed half asleep. I mean, the Swedes could have scored very early on.
Well, you know, I mean, I don't know how they feel personally. I mean, I know if it was me and Jimmy playing, of course, well, we would go out there to do our best. And you're in the final. I just don't know. I mean, it all depends what the manager said. But there was a spell, wasn't there?
Look, just look at this now. Early on in the second half.
That was in the first sort of 2 or 3 minutes of the second half. And you feel, well, really, you know, it is a final. That shouldn't be, because the guy could have actually scored himself, couldn't he? And, or he could have squared it to one of the other Gothenburg players who was sort of, what, 5 yards out. Then that really would have killed the game.
Jim, what do you think went wrong?
I don't think anything went wrong. I think they just gave themselves a bit too much to do, Nick. The goal away from home killed them. Because let's remember one thing. They're playing against a very good side tonight. I think this side are as good as any in Europe. I know Dennis doesn't quite agree with that, but when you think that they nearly won the European Cup last year, were very unfortunately knocked out by Barcelona. They've gone in this tournament 25 games, Martin says, without defeat. They're no mugs. And I think that they played a good side. They went a goal down, and it was an uphill task, and the hill was too high for them. It was as simple as that.
Alec Ferguson, that must have been as big a disappointment to you as I suspect anybody here in the ground.
Oh, I mean, all the evidence is there. Asking players to peak 3 times in the one season, or 1 week, like Dundee United had to do tonight. Very, very difficult. And I mean, what you've got to say about them is they've done magnificent for Scottish football. Up until 7 crazy days, you know, where the legs went, really. And I honestly believe if they hadn't, they'd only gone for 1, they would have won it. They're going for the 2. There's so many games in the season, tells its tale, really, Ian.
That's right, because they didn't play well at Hampden Park on Saturday, didn't play well here tonight, and he just looked a case of tired legs.
Yeah, tired legs, and also trying to motivate a team for finals. You know, with the Scottish Cup final wedged in between the UEFA Cup finals, the 2 legs, I think it's an impossible task, honestly. I experienced at Aberdeen when we won the European Cup Winners' Cup in '83, and asking to repeat 10 days later in the Cup final, impossible.
Thank you very much, Alec
Okay.
Ferguson.